Hi, welcome back to Storytime with Dad Booker. Appreciate your stopping by. Today we're going to continue on with Gods and More Gods, and we have done, we've done pretty much a lot of gods. We're taking a second look at them, and today we're going to look at Peter's place and see how Peter's doing. Hopefully he hasn't petered out. Peter rose into the air for an overhead look at his section. Farming was having a few hiccups, and he hadn't any idea why. Granted, he could fix things with a wave of his hand, but they need to be able to fix things on their own. The scientists were at a loss and were looking to him for a solution. Peter knew he needed help, but from where? What he didn't realize was that a valuable resource was being wasted. He hadn't known about poor crop rotation or using dung as fertilizer. He was more of an office manager type. He'd always done what needed to be done, but he left the big pictures to others. He followed orders. As he floated, he could see in the distance the lands ruled by the other gods. He climbed higher. He needed an overall view of all their lands. Someone was doing something right, and hopefully they could construct him. He saw Gladys's area. The land was fertile and growing abundant crops. So was Larry's. He saw that Larry's people had discovered boating and that several large boats were being blown by the wind. Using his finger, he fanned the air so that it blew towards his land. The people in the boat were confused and trying desperately to change course. Peter kept them directed towards his area. When they arrived, the wind was so strong the boat was partly driven onto the shore. Dropping down, he went to greet the people on the boat. He approached not as a god, but as one of the inhabitants. Welcoming them, he informed them that the wind would return in a few hours. In the meantime, they can enjoy the hospitality of Peter's place. Peter realized how momentous this occasion was. For the first time, there could be an awareness of other countries and interactions from other people. He showed them around, explaining the accomplishments and difficulties. They appreciated the accomplishments and offered insight into their difficulties. In the market were picnic-style tables and benches. He bought food for them and offered anything else they wished, including a sampling of wine. They discussed the possibility of trade between their two countries, both intellectual and physical. He also offered a map of where the other countries were. These items were gratefully accepted, but they informed their hosts that they would seek the guidance of their god before visiting others, as they might not be as friendly as the people of Peter's place. At the end of the visit, Peter made a wind come up to carry them home. The ship filled with people, including several of Peter's scientists who wished to make contact with the scientists of Larry Land. Peter talked to his farming leaders and had them implement crop rotations and begin using the dung of the animals to fertilize the fields. When the time came for the next vacation, the gods should talk more about allowing people to mingle. No one, not even a new god, had all the answers, and seeking help from other lands would be beneficial. He found his carpenter and set him to building a boat. Start small and easy. We will use the first to begin fishing, and then we can build bigger so we can visit other lands. He drew in the dirt what he had been mined and then sent the man to construct it. The carpenter had already been working on designs for a boat, having seen the one that arrived. He had long desired to build something to float on the water. His early designs were based on the leaves that floated past his workshop. Now he had a better example. Peter called in his leaders as well as his scientists and asked if any other problems existed. There were several, and he inquired of the scientists about what they had worked on for solutions. Peter's scientists were struggling to understand why their god didn't just create what was needed or fix what was broken. Surely that was not beyond his powers. Peter smiled on them. It is true that I can do all that you ask, but there will be times, sometimes many years or longer, when I will not be with you. You rely only on me to get things done, then you will suffer when I am gone. We gods have gods above us who require our presence sometimes, and our time is not such as yours. For us, a day may last many years. They understood, but wanted to know when would this god call them so they might know how long they had. I don't know. Just as you do not fathom my wisdom and plan, I don't know theirs. We must continue in ignorance and build wisdom so that when the time comes, we are prepared no matter what time, if it's long or short. Later that month, Larry arrived at Peter's temple, and the two gods had a closed-door meeting. Glad you had the thought of bringing some of my people to your area. Hope they were impressed by what they saw. Well, they were, but they also showed us some things we could be doing better. Sent a few scientists back with them to see what else you have going. I've got one of my carpenters building a boat designed off the one your people used, but out of wood. Larry was getting more excited all the time. Let's set up a regular run from my place to yours. That way we can get things going even faster. Peter agreed, but with one reservation. I don't think I want to send anyone to Dom's place. He's been busting heads and with just about everyone thinking he has been divinely ordained as our local godhead. I don't know where the heck he picked that up, but I hear he's going around trying to boss our people and us. Larry showed disgust with face and posture. Yeah, I know he came to my place and tried to browbeat me into submission. My people were so pissed they prayed me more power, and I grew strong enough I was able to literally throw him back to his place. He chuckled at the memory. He had the gall to tell them that I may have been their god, but he was mine. Can you believe the nerve of that guy? Shaking their heads, they considered taking the matter up with Fred. On second consideration, they'd wait until their next vacation to give down to talking to themselves. Larry suggested they start a regular shuttle around the different countries, which Peter agreed to. Give me a while to get my Navy in order. Maybe we ought to create flags for the boat so people know who's coming. Yeah, we better start building docks so the boats have a better place to land than on the beach. He jokingly poked a finger into Peter's chest. Bring that boat ashore as you did almost took that one out of commission. Sprung a bow leak on the way back. Luckily, they just moved everything back to the stern and kept the bow out of the water. Looked like they were surfing in with the breeze you gave them. Both guys wanted to speak to Gladys, Ash, and Gary, since they felt it might take all of them to convince Don that, well, if that was even possible. Okay, Gary's our next one. These are going to be kind of short, so I'll tell you what, let's try and do two today. Gary was above the clouds looking down on his area. His tears fell like rain as he thought about how far his people had come. They had created a village that had buildings that grew up to 3 stories. They had abundance of food and dried and stored. They had created games and music, wrote books on how to do things as well as about their history. Though never asked to or insisted on, they had built a temple to Gary that took every skill they had mastered. They had taken it on themselves to create money and to regulate trade. They had grown so that what had once been a community had grown to a village and then to a country. They had even begun to question their existence and mortality. Their minds had opened to possibilities, and though they were nowhere near as intelligent as people Gladys watched over, they would get there eventually. In all this, Gary played a minimal part. He was there if he was needed, but more and more they sought answers on their own. They were becoming philosophers and seekers of knowledge. A portion of the temple was given over to a library where all the knowledge of his people was kept and protected. When Larry and Peter arrived, he probably showed them his people's achievements from his perch in the sky. He claimed no credit, but gave it all to his people. His 2 fellow guys were amazed at how his people had accomplished so much with so little assistance from Gary. They were more amazed at the change they saw in Gary. He was filled with love for his people, and his people shared that love they had for him. He radiated power from all the reverence he received. Going to the temple the people had built, they saw by the ornate statues and ornaments how much his people worshipped him. You're doing a heck of a job, Gary. Very impressive. We're doing almost as well, and we're starting to have our people travel to each other's places so that we can share knowledge and grow faster. Would you consider sending your people? Gary didn't need to think twice. He vanished and set some of his people to create boats. It surprised him that none of his people had or himself had ever thought of it. They eagerly began, and word got around that there were other people on the other continents that had people as well. Soon there would be an influx of new people and new ideas. Got people so excited they started cleaning the place up in expectation. Parks were created so visitors would have places to relax. People started working on how to feed and bed down the visitors. Gary's people amazed Larry and Peter and Larry. Neither their people, or themselves for that matter, had thought about what an influx of visitors would mean for the people or how to deal with visitors to stay longer than a few hours. They decided to rush back and get things going. They also had to decide how to set up money and currency exchange. Gary considered that it might be a good idea to get someone started on navigation so that the maps could be prepared for travelers. On a group of his carpenters meeting, he gave them the tasking for creating a speedy watercraft that could be used to make maps of the ocean and land masses. He explained different types of sails that would be needed so that the gods wouldn't need to keep changing wind directions. They may want to note winds and speeds on the maps or else in a logbook. He went to a civic leader and informed him that a new chapter of life with Gary would be beginning. He decided to take a few days off and speak to Gladys. She had the brightest people, and he felt the task of astronomy should be handled there. Sitting in her comfortable penthouse and sipping tea, he brought up the idea of astronomy to her. She gave it careful consideration. Well, we could add it to our curriculum. I happen to know we do have some who have begun to ponder about the stars. I can see what some of the others can develop, such as telescopes and possibly sextants. It should assist the others who come to seek out our library. I heard from Peter and Larry that they're sending out explorers too. I assume you will be doing the same since you came to me regarding astronomy. She peered over the edge of her teacup inquiringly. Yeah, of course. The more instructions we can have, or the more interactions we can have, the more our people will learn from the strengths of others. I understand no one is too keen to seek out Don's corner, and I can't say I blame them. He's become a nuisance and a thorn in our side. His claim that he is under the guidance of Fred's god, or whatever power is over Fred, is ridiculous. No god or power who had Fred's interest in heart would be sending Don, of all people, to damage all the progress we've made. Gladys agreed. There's got to be more to this than we're seeing. We'll keep pushing along, but somehow I feel we're missing something important. Gary agreed, but without now knowing more, it was best to put the idea on the back burner for now. Okay, so the next chapter is about the future, and the next one after that is an alternate future, and then we got Navy stuff. Oh, there's a bunch of stuff left to come. We're still pretty early. So that's it for today. Hope to see you again next reading. I'll be in a couple of days, so I look forward to seeing you. Hope you enjoy these. Hope you can leave me some notes or something, just saying hi, we're listening. I would appreciate it. If you can, subscribe, put a like down there. That always helps. And I look forward to seeing you again on the next reading. So take care, be good to yourself. Bye.